And we're back. Got a really good one today. Got the Evil offering. No longer will we wait for a new Evil, we have one. I have one right underneath me right now. Yeah, this is the new Evil offering. They're making it kind of travel adjustable, build kit adjustable. So I already rode a version with a 160 millimeter Lyric fork, and then past few rides I've been riding the 170 millimeter Zeb fork with a RockShox Vivid rear shock. So basically you're investing in multiple possible, build packages off one frame. I don't have all the details on it, but go to size write up and he should have all the technical details. However, I did ride the smaller version with a Super Deluxe on the rear, 160 millimeter fork, and then this version with 170 millimeter Zeb, 150 millimeter RockShox Vivid, one of my favorite rear shocks. And both builds have been so exciting. There's just so many bike frames floating out there, and they're just bolting these same components together in different ways, and yet this Evil just feels so distinctly Evil. It is crazy. So I'd say the biggest update right off the bat is you have just a really proper modern C-tube angle, even in the low bottom bracket setting where I'm parked out with the 170 fork. The C-tube angle is 77.7, so just shy of 78 with a bigger fork on the bike. So, and the felt position is just, it's very upright, which is so cool to have that familiar Evil feel, that mid-stroke support, that anti-squat in a much more modern seated position. Definitely makes a big difference. Just like bringing this bike into the modern world. I just rode the Reckoning not that long ago, but you get on this bike and it's just like, okay, this is what a modern Evil feels like. And along that same vein, they extended the chainstay. The old one used to be like 432, I believe. This one's 437. So certainly in the climbing and stability department, you're getting a little bit longer wheelbase, your weight a little bit further forward. But yeah, certainly from the climbing side of things, it's just got this nice kind of darty, agile feel on climbs. And now it just feels like an even more balanced version of the kind of typical Evil feel. This bike's got a 475 millimeter reach in the size large that I'm on, which for me just feels perfect. Find that 470 to 480 range just to feel really nice for my size. And this bike just feels very natural, not too stretched out, just a good feeling size. With the RockShox suspension, climbing, descending, the initial stroke is very nice and buttery. A huge fan of the components on this bike. You got Eagle 90 cable actuated shifting, which is just so good. When you consider the size of this bike, you're getting into the 170 millimeter fork game. It does just feel like a fairly agile, lightweight climber. I mean, you have a little bit less rear suspension to contend with, but I really like the Lyric Super Deluxe build out of this bike. Certainly a little bit more darty and precise feeling, but it's also amazing just how this Zeb Vivid version is just totally scoots you up the mountain too. Man, yeah, it's just a fantastic feeling climber. Great place to be in the saddle. I don't like this WTB seat that they spec on these bikes. Maybe they have like a huge box they have to get through. I don't know the story. I could definitely leave the saddle, but everything else is just a very nice place to be. All right, dropping in here. I also rode the same trail with the smaller bike setup. Bike felt super precise. Yeah, in this mode, the bike is like way more forgiving. It really goes to show just how much some fork travel, a little relaxed head angle can do. This bike is very like slinky, playful, gives you a lot of like pump return sensation. It's got that just classic evil feel, and then I suppose this version just sits somewhere between the Offering and the Reckoning. Yeah. Oh man, that Vivid is so composed. I love that. Got some really good trail conditions again, and I'm not sure there's a bike I would rather be on right now. This is super fun. Yeah, it doesn't feel on those big berms like I have too much wheelbase to deal with, which is a nice feeling. Just feels like this bike can be tucked into corners. They're not just getting you where you want to go by just multiplying the wheelbase. Big puddle hogging my line today. It's honestly it's a really cool Galby setup with the 170 fork, 150 rear. Oh man, yeah, I just love preloading into this bike. You get a lot of return, especially with the much more free RockShox damping. It's really nice. Yeah, you can pop this bike pretty hard. And with, pushing into the 150 millimeter of rear travel, just get a little bit more zest than if it was longer. Yeah, oh, this bike is so playful. Honestly, wish I had more time on this bike. I just want to build a more relationship with it. With the smaller setting, with the Lyric, it felt like the bike had like a fairly small window in which your ideal weight would be in, and just takes a little bit to get used to that sort of riding. Checking my tire pressure, but yeah, it gives you this very direct, like rewarding sensation. Not everybody loves that, but I find that like incredibly zesty and exciting. But however, in this longer travel setting, everything is much more chilled out. That pocket that you can hang out in is bigger, and then you get the added bonus of this long travel bike being super agile and just tight. Try to manual that puddle. This bike is still like, it's got that easy to manual, like evil quality to it, even with a slightly longer chainstay than what they used to come with. Woods are pretty dark here, so you'll just have to bear with me. Yeah, I find this bike just has kind of like this Porsche style feel to it, where it just feels like very flirty with the edge at times, especially I think the smaller suspension package, when I got time on that, it was quite a bit drier conditions, and today is just like perfect hero dirt, and the bike just feels playful, but also like I have a fairly good window to pump the bike around in. But it's just a really rewarding bike to pump, pull for jumps, slash the rear end around. I do feel like I'm able to keep really good track of like where the front and rear wheel are. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying the Lyric setup again on better conditions like today, but this bike just feels absolutely fantastic, and honestly just like a perfect slightly longer travel Galby bike. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. Yee. Yeah, I feel like I can really dig the tires into everything today. Yeah, you can hear bike's pretty darn quiet. Yeah, and it just feels light on its toes. Certainly doesn't feel planted to the ground. Feels very lively, which is something I look for in a bike. I don't think this flavor is gonna be for everybody, but if you like your bike to really just listen to you, this thing feels incredible. If I had to choose between the suspension packages, I'm for sure going for this 170 Zeb and 150 Vivid. Big fan. So who's this bike for? I'd say this bike is just incredible for somebody looking for like the one bike do-it-all quiver killer in more aggressive terrain. Like these days, a 170 fork doesn't feel that crazy, but of course you can pare down to the smaller build as well. Just somebody looking for agility. They really want to feel their bike, all the passion that comes from like kicking up deer. Whoa, deer everywhere. All the passion that comes from like, what am I trying to say? Just really feeling like you're the one steering the bike and the bike's not just plowing for you. If you're that kind of rider, chances are you'll really like this bike. And also somebody who's looking for a really supportive pedal kinematic and incredibly like pumping bike, for sure. If you enjoyed this review, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And for the full write-up, head over to freehub.com for the words written by Cy.